there YouTube, we're back with our project 1983 Peterbilt 359. We're going to do a little actual work to it today. Plan I've got is I want to remove the fifth wheel slider. There's quite a bit of rust jacking underneath that. The fifth wheel slider's junk, needs to go away. So we're going to pull that off, get a good look at the frame there. Number of people mentioned wanting to hear the Jake brake on this truck. The Jake brake does not actually work right now, so we're going to take a look at that. Also, the park brake and the trailer air supply are reversed. They're in the wrong positions. Going to try to take a look at that. And whatever else we got time to do today. Anyway, let's get to it. So I'm looking at this here, and it looks like they've got the center support for the fenders welded onto the fifth wheel slider. I'm just going to go ahead and take these fenders off. Okay, now that we got the fenders off, you can see things a little bit better here. And you can see why I say that this slider assembly is scrap metal. You can see it's been cracked and welded multiple times. There's cracks in the risers. Some of them have been welded, some of them haven't been. Here you can see a lot of the bolts are rusted and broken off. Someone's put a couple of new bolts in here, but they're grade 5, so those aren't no good. And you can see that the rust jacking has actually pushed this slider assembly out away from the frame here. So I think there's probably about a 0% chance that any of these bolts are going to come out of here. So I'm probably just going to cut them off. And then we'll yank this fifth wheel off and see what we got underneath here. Now this is pretty crazy. Right here is the line of where the fifth wheel was, and when I popped these bolts out, this fifth wheel jumped up. That's the amount of pressure that rust underneath this fifth wheel, when it scales up and builds up, that's how much that was pushing up on this slider assembly. And I've even still got a couple bolts hanging in the holes here that don't want to punch through, so it might even come up just a little bit more when I get these last two bolts out. Okay, so we've got all the bolts cut off on both sides. Still got this one hanging in the hole here a little bit. It doesn't want to drive in. What I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull this truck forward. I'm going to get the bucket of the skid steer under this and see if I can just peel this thing up off of here. And once that's off of there, I should be able to get in here with the big sledgehammer and knock those bolts through. Alright, so we got the fifth wheel off of here. We got all the rust scale knocked off. It's a little bit worse than I would have hoped, but chances are I'm probably end up stretching the frame on this truck anyway, so it shouldn't really matter. But now at least I know I've got time to plan on how I'm going to attack that, what I'm going to do. I could probably, if I decide not to stretch the frame, I could probably put a second frame rail on the inside and double frame the back half, and I would think that would probably be fine. But at least now we got the rust scale off of there. It's cleaned up. It's not going to get any worse. If someone would have done this probably around the time that this truck was taken off the road, which was 2005, if somebody would have done this then, we probably wouldn't be in this situation now. But you know, we can deal with it, and you know, at least it's off now. We know what we know, and we can deal with it. Anyway, I think I'm going to take a quick look at the Jake brakes next. So I'm just kind of looking at the Jake brake switches here, trying to make sense of all this. I'm going to turn the key on, and turn the key on, and we've got power to the Jake brake switch. Switch is off, no power. Turn the switch on, and we've got power. Now, this switch here, this switch here is our stages, and see, we've got one wire that's labeled 0 that goes to the center, and then we've got 3 and 2. Okay, now this one that goes to the center, this would be what feeds the switch. We don't have anything on this pin, but this pin's jumpered to this pin. So those two are connected together. And let's see. So now we should have, with the key on, switch on, the foot pedals in the idle position, we should theoretically have power here, and we don't. So yeah, okay. So now we come back to this switch here. this is a micro switch on the injection pump here. We could tell that that was a green wire that was coming from the output of our switch and running into the loom. We got a green wire here feeding into this micro switch, so I would assume that should be the same wire. So we should have power here, and we don't. God, that buzzer's annoying. Anyway, okay, so here's our 0 wire off of the position switch. We don't have power there. Okay, now let's see if we can clip that on that power. You know what, let's turn the key off. Let me just see if I can grab a power somewhere here. Okay, so now this 3 and this 2 wire should be running to Jake solenoids. So we've got our test light clipped onto a power source here. That's just going to be a solenoid valve. So actually, if we touch these, okay, so we've got green. Number 3 is a circuit to ground, so that's going to the solenoid. Number 2 is a circuit to ground, that's going to the solenoid. Okay, and the 0 wire has got nothing. Okay, so now just for testing purposes, made a little jumper wire here from the on-off to the input into the stage switch. See, we can turn the key on here. Jake switch is on. Got power here. Got power here. The Jake switch is in the 3 position, so we got power to both of those. Just fire the truck up here. Turn the Jake switch off. Fire the truck up, let it warm up a bit, and see what happens. So now we have Jake brakes. Now I just need to trace the green wire that runs the power from the on-off switch to the micro switch on the pump and back, and I need to find where the issue is on that. But we know that the Jake brake solenoids and the Jake brakes work now, and we know we've narrowed down where our electrical issue is, so I'll spend a little bit of time on that, and if I get it figured out, I'll show you. Okay, so I was just kind of working my way up the loom here, starting from the injection pump here. Didn't go very far, and I found we got some splices, and those splices look good. And those go on back here to, oh, I hope you can see it here. They go back to a clutch pedal switch. And if I push up, I hope you can see that. I can't see my screen there, but if I push up on the clutch pedal here just a little bit, you can hear it clicking. Now with the test light on the green wire here, reach up, we're going to push up on the clutch switch. And there we go, that's our problem. Okay, so yeah, this really should have been one of the first things I checked, but turns out the throttle pedal return spring was completely missing. I threw another spring on there quick, and this thing now comes right back up to the floor. While I had this open here, I took care of this. Turns out everything was hooked up to the correct ports on the valve. It's just the valve was installed upside down. So that's now parked right. This is trailer. And that's good to go. So I think that's actually everything I had planned to do today. We got it all done. Still actually fairly early in the day, so you know what? I think I'm gonna grab my polisher, see what I can do to these tanks. Anyway there, YouTube, I didn't polish this all the way up. Pretty obvious I'm going to have to go back a step, do a bit more sanding on it before I go ahead and bring it to a full polish. But you know what, this is good enough for now. I think these tanks are actually going to clean up pretty decent. But anyway, till next time, be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks. Have a good day.